Home School. It's got fun and games, like countdown, and some arts and crafts, science, nature, and lots of numeracy, maths and art and literacy, cooking, music, geography. Mr Bletcher's Home School is full of fun and games.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Mr Bletcher Home School. Listening to that theme tune again, it's starting to get stuck in my head. It's really catchy. Anyway, let's get started. Early bird maths, let's go now.
Of the day. Contemplate.
What is the definition? Can you use the word in a sentence?
The young boy couldn't even begin to contemplate his future.
A quick bit of news for you. Okay, the channel, the Mr Bletcher YouTube channel, is approaching 400 subscribers and we're really excited about that. We're nearly there. And I was talking to Ralph, I was like, Ralph, do you want to get involved? Things are going really well with the YouTube channel and the homeschool. Do you want to get involved? And he went, no. I said, what do you mean no? He said, tell you what, if you can get 400 subscribers and you can get 20 likes on a homeschool video, then he'll do a daily blog for us and he'll be in each episode. I said, right, you got yourself a challenge. So we're trying to get to 400 subscribers and we're trying to get 20 likes, 20 thumbs up on one of our homeschool videos. If we can do it, Ralph, the owl that we know loves his cheese, he's been my companion for 5 years now, he'll be joining the team. So can you help us out? So, back with some maths, and again, like yesterday, we're looking at perimeter. But this time, not so easy, we're looking at compound shapes. Now, compound shapes are shapes like this, where it looks like two shapes have been put together. And remember, the perimeter is when we go around the border and add up all of the distances that we see. So, let's start here. We've got to work out 15, add 12, add 3, add 5. Oh dear. I don't know what the measurements of those sides are. Is there a way to work it out? Ooh, remember, we know that opposite sides equal the same. So, if this length is 15 centimetres, then this one and this one must equal to 15. So, 15, 3 and what makes 15? That's right, 3 and 12 centimetres make 15. Now I can do the same with the other side. I know this is 12. So 12, 5, we don't know. 5 and what make 12? Yeah, 7. Right. Now we've got all of the sides of our compound shape, we can calculate the perimeter. So, 15 plus 12 plus 3 plus 5 plus 12 plus 7. Write down your answer and then have a go at these two problems. On to our literacy work now, and we've studied some adverts because we're going to have a go at making our own persuasive advert for our own brand cereal. During the week, start to think about what the name of your cereal wants to be and what sort of tastes could it have? What would it be like? What would it look like? Now, to make our persuasive adverts as persuasive as possible to get people to buy the cereal that we're making, we need to use this. We need to use modal verbs. Now, modal verbs are a type of verb that indicate possibility. We have must, shouldn't, would, can't, and should as some examples, but there are more that we'll look at later. We can use modal verbs to write sentences that sound persuasive, like, would you like to try this amazing cereal? Surely you shouldn't miss out on this. You must give it a go. All of these possibility verbs, okay, are great ways of making people want to try your cereal and persuading them, okay? So, what I want you to do is take a look at the activity that's about to put up, take a look at the activity that is about to appear on screen. Can you place the modal verbs in the correct sentence? Off you go. Time for some science now, and I want to talk about something called DNA. DNA is genetic information that we all have. It's almost like instructions on the following things. DNA informs our body of how to grow, reproduce, and function. And our DNA is individual to us, it's unique to us. However, we do share DNA with family members. Part of other family members will have similar and the same DNA, but our overall DNA is unique to us. And there's one way of being able to really see how unique you are to the rest of the planet, and that is through fingerprints. Now, if you look at your hands really carefully, it's strange really, because we're not used to looking at our own hands so carefully, unless we've maybe got a little cut or something like that. But I want you to look at your fingertips really carefully and sort of rub your fingers together like so. Can you feel the little ridges that are in your fingers? Those are your fingertips. And you don't have them on the back of your hands, but you have them on the palms and the inside. Those fingerprints are really important. They are the things that help us grip and hold things. We don't have them, like I said, on the back of our hands, and they're absolutely fantastic. Now, if you look even closer, particularly at the end of your fingers, you'll be able to see your fingerprints and notice that they all have different patterns. If you were to grab your grown-up's fingers and take a look and say, I need to look at your fingerprints, you'll notice that those are different as well. Your fingerprint is absolutely unique to you. And that's why you may have seen on cartoons or TV shows that fingerprints are very useful for solving crimes, for finding out where people have been. So, I want you to have a go at the following things. Grab something that you use quite often. It may be like a phone or a tablet. Because if you look at the back of those, can you see fingerprints? If you can you work out if it's you or someone else that was holding that object last? Now, another thing to do is, if you can grab some sticky tape, okay, and then push your finger against the sticky side, not too hard, then release, and you look carefully, and you've been able to copy your fingerprint. It looks fantastic. Now, fingerprints come in sort of different style of patterns. Remember, they're all unique, but they have almost like their own different artistic style. What I want you to do is, can you create some form of work? It could be artwork, it could be just a pattern that you make, or you just might want to record some fingerprints of you and your family. I want you to take a look at this chart that's about to appear after this part of the video, and can you work out what type of fingerprint you have? I'm really excited to see your work for this, so please send it in. And here is the type of fingerprints. Off you go. Right, time for reading now. We're back with the Explorer. We're going to carry on the chapter we were reading, and I have an inference question where you've got to use clues and a prediction question coming up. Remember, it's been a while since we read this, so the plan is for the group to follow the direction of ants because they think it will lead them to water. And obviously, there is a great need when you're lost in some sort of jungle to find water in order to survive. Lila stared hard at Con and then at the ground, combing the leaves with her eyes. Do you have a different suggestion? She said. Con sighed and bent to look under a log. The first set of ants was a disappointment. Max found a trail of tiny red ones and bent down to stroke them. "Look, they're shining!" "Don't touch," said Lila, snatching him back. "Some ants out here are dangerous." "These ones?" asked Con, taking a step backwards. "I don't know, that's the problem. The dangerous ones are called bullet ants, but I don't know what they look like." "Bullets, presumably," said Con. "Not necessarily," said Lila. "Dogfish don't look like dogs." I remember being very disappointed. "These ones just look like ants," said Max. "You're still not allowed to touch them," said Lila, "so don't try." They walked at a safe distance, all four of them with their chins on their chests, along a snaking line of trees. The ants led them to a large pile of leaves. "Oh!" Fred nudged the leaves with a stick, just in case there was water underneath. He recoiled. The ants were swarming over the carcass of a bird. It looked like it had, once, been a vulture. Now, though, it was equal parts bone and smell. That isn't exactly what I was hoping for. You could not, he thought, trust an ant's sense of priorities. "What now, then?" asked Con, crossing her arms. "Let's try again," said Lila. Maybe those were the wrong kind of ants. It was Lila who found the trail of larger ants, ants with heads as big as ball bearings. They followed the track deep into the woods, Lila leading. Fred watched her. She was small and moved on the edge of her muscles, like an animal, a deer or a lemur, as if she heard things other people did not. "I can't believe we're trusting ants," said Con. She brushed a cobweb out of her hair and ducked under a branch. "Even in fairy stories, it's a wise owl or something. Nobody goes to bloody ants for help." She looked defiantly at Fred as she said the word bloody. And then a thorn caught on the skin above her eyebrow, and she let out a yelp. "I hate this place!" Fred looked back and found, with a lurch to his stomach, that the clearing had entirely disappeared. "Which way is the way back?" he said. The green of the forest seemed to thrum around them. "Left at the tree that was covered in mushrooms, and then right at the bush with green thorns," said Con. She didn't look at him, didn't see the surprise on his face, which he immediately tried to hide. "We should mark a path," he said, "so we can find a way back." "Fine," said Con, "unless you want to ask the opinion of, I don't know, a passing maggot." Fred tried to grin. "Well, maggots are much slower walkers than ants. They'd make terrible guides." She didn't smile back. Fred slipped to the back of the procession. Every 3 or 4 trees he broke a branch and stuck a leaf on the hinge it made. Con shook her head. "That's not going to be any good. You need something bigger." She tore one of the ruffles off her once white blouse and tied it to a tree. "There." Fred turned to look at her, crouched in the dappled light. She moved stiffly as if accustomed to using her own body, and her clothes seemed to sit on her like a bear trap. There are outfits that suggest, of their own accord, that their owner should sit still and smile nicely. Con had been dressed in one such outfit. Before the crash had coloured it brown and green and red. "Good thing you've got ruffles to spare," he said, and grinned. Con turned on him the kind of look that breaks noses. "Shut up, cricket jumper." Fred took a step backwards. "I only meant it's useful to have clothing with extra bits attached. Boys' clothes don't." "Fine, whatever you say. You don't have to try to be nice to me, you know." "What?" Fred stared, bewildered. "I just want to get out of this vile place and back to school. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not really interested in making friends, especially not with little kids." Lila heard them. "I'm not a little kid," she said quietly. She spoke without taking her eyes off the ants. "I'm just small for my age." "How old are you?" Con turned to Fred. Fred told her. "That's hardly older than me," said Con. "And me?" said Lila. "I thought you were much older," said Con. Fred shrugged. "Just tall," he said. "But that means there's no adults. Not even any nearly adults. Just 4 children in the Amazon jungle." "That," said Fred, "sounds true." "Unfortunately," said Lila. "Unfortunately," echoed Max. He wandered off a few paces, blowing nose bubbles with his snot. Lila darted after him and grabbed him by the sleeve. "Stay close," she said. Her face was bones and eyes and nerves. As they walked on, a smell came to Fred on the air. Something sharp and fresh. Something that smelt more blue than green. "Is that the river? I think I can smell it," he said. "Don't be ridiculous," said Con. "You can't smell water." But then she broke off. Through the thickly ranged trees, Fred could see a flicker of something that moved. "Come on," called Con. "I found the river." We're going to leave it there. 2 questions today. Here they are. And it's that time again. We love this time. We're going to hit with the background of wonderfulness because it's time for our shout outs. So, starting with Harry. Harry, wow, you've been quick. You've already had a go at this week's recipe, and goodness me, does that look fantastic. Well done. Moving on to Evie. You've been working so hard. This is your current setup. Great job. We're also hearing that you decided to write a journal for your time in lockdown so that when you're older you can look back at it and remind you of what it was like. I think that's an excellent idea, so a super shout out to you. Maybe some other children might want to try that. Keep a journal, and then when you're older, when you're as old as your adults, you might want to watch that back, take a look at it, read it back, and remember what things were like. Next up we have Oliver. You took this picture on your walk, a bit of nature, a few animals as well. That's great to see. Thank you for sharing. And finally to James and Emily, your superb work is here. It looks absolutely fantastic, so well done to you. Remember, get your work sent in and we can award you lots of shout outs and give you a big well done.
Mr Bletcher's Home School. It's got fun and games, like countdown and some arts and crafts, science, nature, and lots of numeracy, maths and art and literacy, cooking, music, geography. Mr Bletcher's Home School is full of fun and games.